Welcome back. If you've only just joined us, you're watching the Daily Roundup with Nina. Now, as Africa's heritage sector embraces the digital age, the upcoming workshop, Digital Technologies to Empower World Heritage in Africa in Namibia, marks a pivotal moment. Today, we're joined by two key figures behind this initiative, Fernando Avakian, Project Officer at UNESCO, and Nicolas Vandeviver, Deputy Representative of Flanders for Southern Africa. Now, together, they'll share insight on how digital innovation from geospatial mapping to immersive technologies is transforming heritage conservation, strengthening regional collaboration, and shaping a more inclusive, connected future for world heritage in Africa. Nicolas and Fernando, thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you for having us.
Lovely. Thank you so much for your time. I know that you guys have been across Namibia a bit and probably a little bit exhausted, so I appreciate that you've made time to be here.
On the contrary, it's great to be here. Thanks a lot.
Well, Fernando, to start with, UNESCO is leading efforts to integrate digital tools into heritage conservation. So what exactly makes this moment, particularly important for world heritage in Africa?
Yes, so we observe on the one hand that there are more and more tools, or at least old tools, not necessarily very new tools, that have been developed in the last 10, 15 years, but now are getting more and more available. I mean, digital tools like drones, geographic information systems, photogrammetry, GPS, mobile apps, that on the one hand. And some of them are sometimes even open access. On the other hand, we have very good examples of African stakeholders, heritage practitioners, youth that are utilizing very successfully these tools. So it's the ideal context in order to organize such kind of workshops, because we have, on the one hand, very innovative tools, like all those that I have mentioned. On the other hand, very, very competent professionals, and our only role here is to energize what's going on, just providing this moment for exchange of ideas, and we're just somehow participating to this ongoing digital revolution in Africa.
Well, Nicolas, Flanders has played a central role, in supporting the World Heritage online map platform. But what drives your government's commitment to digital, heritage initiatives when it comes to Africa?
So when it comes to Africa, I think, not just Africa, actually worldwide, I think Flanders believe that digital heritage and innovation can actually go hand in hand. And that's exactly what, together with UNESCO, what we were actually showing here in this workshop. And why we're doing it is because of a sense of global solidarity and also shared responsibility of heritage. So we're trying to make heritage available, not just for the sake of the past, but for the future generations as well. So it's for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren even, because their heritage, it's also part of their identity as much as it is of their parents and grandparents. And why particularly Africa? So the government of Flanders has set up a trust fund at UNESCO, and it's specifically focused at heritage projects with predominant focus on Africa. And why is that? Because we notice worldwide, if you look at the disbursement of heritage sites, almost half of them are in North America and Europe. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean that African heritage sites are supposedly less valuable, or that there's less heritage in Africa. Yes. Not at all. It just means that there has been less applications for that, or nominations. And that's something we want to support through this workshop as well, to help heritage site managers, governments as well, for instance, like the Namibian government, to apply for those nominations and ultimately have more World Heritage sites.
Fantastic. Well, I know, of course, that I didn't put this in your scripts. I hope that you don't mind me going off script. And I saw the program for the workshop, and it's not like your conventional workshop. You guys have been all over the place. So, Fernando, perhaps tell us a little bit of...
For the time being, we have been only in Windhoek, but tomorrow we're leaving to Tweefontein.
Okay. So tell us what's expected to happen at Tweefontein.
We're coupling, on the one hand, training sessions on all these technologies I mentioned. On the other hand, we're having hands-on experience, sometimes led by, site managers. Most of these trainings are led by them on the use of all these technologies. For example, today we have had a very interesting virtual reality experience for indigenous knowledge preservation called Hunting with the Zhu Huanxi, which was led by students of the NAST University.
Okay.
It was a hands-on experience. Yeah. And for the time being, we have been here inside our conference room, let's say, but tomorrow we're going to Tweefontein in order to conduct a hands-on experience with drones and photogrammetry. and plus another virtual reality experience on the site, and of course a visit of the site. So yeah, actually we're like looking forward to it. And I have to say that we have been very well treated from the first day we put the foot here. We have been like very well treated in this.
And you say Tweefontein like you've been saying it forever. I love that. You say it very accurately.
I'm somehow ashamed that I cannot pronounce yet the other name of Tweefontein.
Well, talk to us about what practical impact you expect, Fernando, tools like GIS and drone mapping to have for site managers that are on the ground.
Yes, well, actually, we expect that site managers and other practitioners, of course, have access to quick geodata acquisition and analysis in order to very quickly locate threats or possible threats to World Heritage. Why is that? Because on the one hand, as I mentioned before, we have satellite data that is open to everyone to use. But what we are trying to do here with the support of the government of Flanders is bringing all these datasets to a joint platform, the World Heritage Online Map platform, in order to, for example, a site manager sees that there are active fires in a given inaccessible area of a huge World Heritage site. Timely localization of these possible threats can lead to quick response. For example, for a wildfire in its early stages, because it can get out of control. So this is what we are trying to do, to give some sort of quickly tools for rapid assessment and action when it's needed.
Nicolas, you mentioned something beautiful earlier in one of your responses where you said about the collaboration that Flanders does with UNESCO and in an effort to preserve heritages for future generations and our children's children and so forth. But talk to us about, how you see these collaborations contributing to broader goals such as sustainable development or, even youth development.
Yes, I think that's a good question. And one part of the answer would be that, if you collaborate with an organization like UNESCO, sustainable development is in the DNA of that kind of organization. And Flanders, my government, the government of Flanders, fully supports that and adheres to this principle. And when we select projects together with UNESCO, we want projects that focus on the long term, that focus on local communities, getting local communities involved, getting youth involved as well. So that's our main goal here as well. Because digital heritage or digitization of heritage is more than just about the fancy apps that Fernando just mentioned, like drones and virtual reality. That is important, that technology is important, but it's essentially about empowering people and getting those technology, connecting them to the people that will use them, to the end users as well. Because it's one thing to have data sets and GIS, Global Information Systems, talk to each other, but it's another thing, you should also link them to people, to the heritage site managers that breathe heritage day in, day out. And for us, that's very important. And of course, all projects like this, like the initiative, the workshop we're setting up, it also gives youth a chance, young people a chance to get involved, to learn more about their history, to make it their history, to own that history in a way as well. So it's a way we see culture as a way to include more people, create opportunities, and create future opportunities as well, and have the economy grow, not just in Namibia, but just across Africa. And that's why it was so important for us to get participants from all over Africa here.
Just further unpack for me, Nicolas, how initiatives such as this workshop helps build long-term partnerships between African, institutions and Flanders.
So, how does it build? Actually, it's quite simple. You bring people together. You bring people together, and we are here in Windhoek, and then we're going to Tweefontein as well. You bring them together, and you have them talk about their experiences, their lessons learned, and share their expertise and knowledge. And just by talking, just by having an expert, because we have quite a lot of participants from Europe, from Belgium, from Flanders, from France, but especially from Africa, from all over Africa. And just having them discuss and have an expert from Flanders, from their own particular expertise, contribute to finding solution to a problem faced by their Mozambican or Namibian colleague, and the other way around, having a site manager in Kenya think of a solution for a problem in Flanders, it helps to creating a sustainable partnership. And in the end, we realize that the problems we face are the same. They're similar problems. And what we eventually at the end want is not when this project is officially over, when bureaucratic and it's over papers have been signed, that it doesn't end the initiative here, but that those collaborations, those discussions that we have that have sparked future collaborations, that it lives on through those many projects that spark out of this.
Yeah, yeah. Fernando, in terms of the technological aspect, I mean, technology is always great, and implementing it into any sector, you know, it's said to elevate that sector. But we know when it comes to developing countries, there's a digital divide. There is that gap. So what are some of the challenges in making, you know, these technologies accessible, number one, and usable in remote and maybe even undeserved heritage sites?
Yes, well, internet connection, for example, this is something out of our hands in terms of this project, of the scope, of course, of this project, but the lack of internet connection makes many of these tools sometimes not usable.
Yeah.
Some of them that can be used, for example, camera traps, even drones, but for example, all geospatial information systems cannot work without internet connection. That's, on the one hand, a major obstacle, but it's changing from what I see. And on the other hand, we have sometimes some inconsistent awareness of the mere existence of these tools. Yeah. Because as I was saying before, some tools of this are things that are around like since perhaps the 90s. And till today, there are people who do not know actually that they exist. And it's not sometimes very expensive or fancy digital products. Sometimes it's something that it's usable, easily usable. But not everyone, and especially outside of specific circles, specifically sometimes in cities, people are not aware of their existence, and that's an obstacle, I think.
Looking beyond this event, Fernando, how do you envision the future of African-led digital innovation in heritage management?
So I think it's not up to me to say, to be honest. Why? Because it's African heritage stakeholders, managers, communities, professionals, youth, that are driving this technological revolution for the sake of heritage. Again, our role, UNESCO's role, is only to help energize this ongoing process and provide, for example, tools like the World Heritage Online Map platform, providing instances in which good ideas or best practices are exchanged, and this flow of good practices, of best practices, ends up galvanizing with time community of practices across the region. But again, we're not the driver of all this that is happening is African professionals.
Fernando, just in closing, and perhaps you can also give your 2 cents on the same point. What message would you like to share with young Africans, Fernando, interested in combining, technology and culture to shape the future of heritage?
Are you asking Fernando or me? Okay, me.
You, Nicolas.
Don't worry. My answer to that question would be actually the following: is that technology is not an end in itself. Yeah. It's a means, and it's a means to tell your story. And so my answer would be the following: is you have your expertise. You are part of this process. You can talk to your elders. Have their knowledge, have their practices incorporated with your digital skills, and actually start owning your own heritage and contributing to it. And whether it's through this amazing game that we saw today and yesterday, actually the students from the Namibian University of Science and Technology, that you put on this fancy headset and you are part of a hunt, and a traditional hunt. And that is very interesting because it's intangible heritage made tangible. Yeah. You start feeling it, you experience it, you're part of it. And I think that's a wonderful combination of using that knowledge with innovative ways. Because in the end, I think heritage is not meant to be just put on display in a museum. Yeah. It's not. It's meant to be shared. And whether it's through TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram, or uploading on your cloud and enjoy it on your smartphone, I think that's where it matters. Is take ownership of it, be creative with it, but share it. Please share it and make it part of the world community. And that's why we call it World Heritage. And so share it, that would be my 2 cents on it.
Thank you, Nicolas, and yourself, Fernando.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here this evening. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
When we come back after this very brief break, we continue with our conversations. Do stay with us.